All right, welcome back to the Fantasy Labs podcast. This is Brian. I am here with Jay. What's up, man?
How's it going, Brian? Just excited for you to go to that UNC game tonight.
Yeah, I'm already repping, of course, and we're doing this pod a little bit earlier than we usually do it, and hopefully I'll have time to get it out to you guys. But yep, excited for the UNC game. Big UNC fan, so I'm obviously very very nervous about tonight. But we're favorites at home, and Marcus Page is back, so.
Yeah, I actually, in your honor, I made a really quick UNC only team. I think.
Oh yeah.
You got some guys. You got Reggie Bullock, Danny Green, Hairston, Hansbrough, John Henson, Ty Lawson, Marvin Williams, and my super sleeper Kendall Marshall. Just in the off chance that he comes back, you never know.
You never know. And he could put up like 20 assists. He's a good passer.
Right. So pretty solid Tar Heel team.
Yeah. Nah, I love it. James Michael McAdoo too, who's
Right.
the first game that we're going to talk about. So this is for the Wednesday slate, and it is a fairly large one. And obviously the biggest tournament is the FanDuel Mega Slam tournament. It's $25 and $100K.
Yeah, and hopefully we see some overlay in that. It's a pretty large tournament, but I'm definitely pumped on it, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of sneaky tourney plays for this slate.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to go through the slate, starting with the 7 o'clock game. So we'll jump right in. So the first game I'm going to talk about is the Warriors versus the Hornets. And man, Golden State's had an easy schedule so far, but they have to come in to play the Hornets, finally pick up that first loss. But we'll stick to DFS. Golden State side, where are you at?
It's the usual suspects for me. Curry, Cash, Draymond, Cash, maybe. Depending on price, but triple double threat's nice. And then same tourney. You got Clay, depending on his scoring a lot, so can't really roll him in Cash right now. He is shooting better at least. And then Iggy with Barnes still out, I think deserves some tournament exposure. But same kind of 4 main guys as of late that I kind of like in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of same for me. I usually don't spend a whole lot talking about Golden State's very consistent in like which guys you want to target. It's not like
Right.
I mean they have like they don't fluctuate that much. I guess they are a little bit with Harrison Barnes being out, but other than that, like it's Steph and Dre and maybe Clay and some guys here and there.
Yeah, Iggy with Barnes out, and Charlotte's done a really good job with limiting turnovers this season. So it's not the matchup you might think of in terms of it's really great matchup. But I think Steph should have his way, and Dre should fill the stat sheet.
Yeah, so forgot to mention the over-under. So it's 211.5, and the Warriors are 9-point favorites. So that over-under is pretty high, obviously, like higher than we expected for a Hornets game. Do you think it's because Al Jefferson's out, so you think that the Hornets might go smaller and play Cody and Marvin, Cody Zeller and Marvin Williams, and maybe pick up the pace with the Warriors a bit?
Yeah, I definitely see with Al out, he can't run the court anyway, so the pace should be a little up there. And the Hornets' totals have been high quite a bit lately, and they've kind of been hitting too. So there will definitely be a lot of points. So I think exposure to this, a 211 total is huge. So definitely pick your spots here, and I think Curry's a great play.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I agree. He's a great play, and I'm fine with Draymond too. I think he's fine in Cash. And the 9-point spread, I guess, is a little high, but that doesn't worry me too much, I don't think. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it'll be close enough to where we should see the starters in the fourth quarter for sure.
Yeah. Okay, on Charlotte's side, where are you at?
Charlotte, I'm not really on anyone in Cash too much, even with this total, unfortunately. I kind of like Kemba. Warriors have great perimeter defense, but his price isn't great. It's climbed on both sides. His assists are down lately, and the loss of Al Jeff, while it will spike his usage rate up, I think his assists will go down. So this is a tough spot for him with the first game with Al Jefferson out in terms of him kind of getting off good shots, and he has no one to really look at down low anymore. So I think he might struggle, and at a high price on this slate, I think you can go elsewhere even with this high total.
Yeah, I agree. There's not any cash game plays, but I do think there are some intriguing tournament plays.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, Batum I think is a fine tournament play, even though the Warriors are great against the three, but his usage will have to climb too with Al out. So it's a tough matchup. And then, Jeremy Lamb has played really well. I think they could use his scoring for sure in this game. So he should see some pretty good minutes, and he's been rebounding really well. And I expect a slight uptick in that with Al out as well.
Yeah. So I agree that I think pretty much all of these players are just a smidge underpriced because of the Jefferson injury. And then obviously, so yeah, I agree on all those guys. I think you could probably, I wouldn't stack them or anything like that, but I think you could probably have some exposure to the starting five because I think one of them will probably exceed their salary by a bit. I'm just not 100% sure which one, so it's hard to really put your foot down. Obviously, if you're, I don't know, sometimes when I'm not sure, I just go towards the cheaper guy because it's less risky. And obviously, Cody Zeller is that guy who's 3.8 on DraftKings and 3.6 on FanDuel, which I really like.
Right, yeah, and I agree. And he'll draw the start, so we'll see how he does. It is pretty risky, I think, in cash still, just with the Warriors' propensity to play small. So we'll kind of see how that goes. And Marvin, I think, is a lock for pretty big minutes, but his upside has been somewhat limited lately, and he draws a fairly tough matchup, obviously.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not like Charlotte is super thin on the front court. They have Spencer Wallace, they have Frank the Tank, who could just dominate this game. Honestly,
I hope so for your sake.
So I don't think Cody Zeller is like a must play in cash because there is some risk involved. But anytime you can get a starter in a high total game like this for 38 or 36 respectively, you kind of have to have some fairly decent exposure to them in tournaments for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Next game is the Lakers at the Wizards. And let me look at the line here. 205.5. And the Wizards are 10-point favorites. We got both teams on a back-to-back, but the Lakers on this East Coast trip. So I think that'll be interesting. Is Kobe, does he play these?
I think Byron will do anything that Kobe tells him to. So it's really going to be how Kobe responds tonight. I'd say he might sit just because he's old and he gets sore really easily after games, understandably. So I could definitely see him sitting. But even then, I think the bigger player, whether Kobe sits or not, that helps obviously, but is Lou Williams for that backcourt. And I think he's due to come back, unfortunately. Fortunately for him because it's due to a death and stuff, but unfortunately for our DFS purposes, because I think Clarkson would be a pretty solid tournament option if Lou was still out.
Yeah, I agree. Clarkson has been really good lately, and he's at that shooting guard spot, which it's tough to fill, honestly, a lot of times.
Yeah, and I'd like to see him have the ball in his hands a little more. His assists are obviously way down this season from the end of last year, so he dropped off, but he's had 2 big games in a row. Obviously, that is pretty much all dependent on Lou Williams being out, so he should be back. Kobe, we'll monitor his status. I mean, his price is dropping, and if he plays, you still can't really consider him even in a tournament. I don't even know what his upside is at this point. I mean, didn't he shoot 4 for 20 last game?
Yeah, no, not great.
Who do you think takes more shots between Kobe and Ty Lawson?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Lawson shots from the bottle, Kobe shots from the court.
Yeah.
I'd say it's a wash, I think.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to that.
Move on.
I'm honestly not interested in any of the Lakers. Because if Lou's back, you're right. It kind of just makes the backcourt not super intriguing. Their front court has not been intriguing outside of Randall here or there.
Right, it's just very inconsistent. I mean, the Wizards played a really, really fast pace, and they have not been solid defensively. They're 24th in defensive rating, so it's not like it's terrible for the Lakers. So I can see some, Julius Randle is somewhat intriguing, but the lack of minutes, the inconsistency, same with D'Angelo Russell. He's playing a little bit more lately, but again, it's just inconsistency with all these guys.
Yeah. And so, I definitely maybe Clarkson on DraftKings where he's 56 and a shooting guard. But I just don't think you can do it on FanDuel where he's 61 and a point guard.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously nobody in cash, I don't think, is 10-point underdogs on back-to-back.
No, yeah, definitely not. Agreed. So Lakers kind of tournament only, and even then kind of
it's spotty,
yeah. Okay, Wizards side. So I messaged you and Justin earlier today, and I was just kind of asking what you guys' thoughts of John Wall this year was, because he's not been great, which is unfortunate because this is about a perfect spot as you could hope for a point guard.
Yeah, Wizards have looked pretty bad this whole season, kind of. And I think this is a perfect game for them to reconfigure their offense, get it going. And Wall's price is at the point, I know we talked about pretty much the last two pods, I think his price is still been so soft, and we still you have to have exposure. And I even went him in cash one night and he fell flat. But I think the Lakers being 27th against point guards and defensive efficiency, they give up 106 points a game. It's a really, really great spot for Wall here at soft pricing, 8K on DK and DraftKings and 8,100 on FanDuel. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that guy. I don't know. Like I want to say I wouldn't go him in cash, but I think I would still. Like I know that's risky, but at 8K, this is a guy who was like a 9K plus player last year.
His assists have been down. He hasn't been assisting much, but this game they should have no problem scoring. So I think assists will come with these open looks that they'll get against this awful defense.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm cool with John Wall in any contest format, especially in tournaments, because recency bias will probably take a lot of people off of him.
Right. And then, we got some injuries. Nene missed another game tonight. Gooden, another game missed tonight. Gary Neal's out with a groin, I think, tonight. So you got three guys who are, I think, leaning towards doubtful maybe. Gooden hasn't played since November 17th. So you got a little bit of a thinner team. Dudley, I think, drew another start tonight. Not horrible in this matchup, but someone I wouldn't really like to go.
Yeah, no, not cash for sure. He just has such a low floor. He just doesn't do much. The guy that really interests me with the injuries is Gortat. He's at 56 on DraftKings, and he's at 59 on FanDuel. So a little more pricey. Maybe tournament only on FanDuel, but he's starting to get into that cash range for sure.
I agree. He's been consistent. He's been good. It's not the greatest matchup down low versus Hibbert, but he should have no problems rebounding, and
it'll be a fast-paced game. Yeah, I think he'll just rack up enough stats, kind of regardless of the matchup where it isn't.
Yeah, and I obviously like Beal a lot too. His price isn't ideal, 7K on both sides, but I think he'll go back to where he was about a week and a half ago, consistently producing well. So I think he'll have open looks, and this high pace will suit him well. So I think he'll hit value even with most of his points coming from scoring.
Agree. I probably wouldn't go
7K on both sides. So
I probably wouldn't go cash. I don't know. Maybe I would. That's not terrible. It's not my favorite spot, but
it's not my favorite either at shooting guard. But you could do worse.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, let's keep moving.
Real quick, one guy I think is interesting for attorney punt play is Ramon Sessions. If Neal's ruled out again, I think Sessions could pick up some pretty quality minutes, even if this game's a blowout even too, he'll pick up more minutes. Lakers on a back-to-back. Seeing minutes against the Lakers second unit I think would be pretty nice. And Sessions plays a little bit aggressive when he's in, so I think he's a punt tournament play.
Yeah, I have some Sessions tonight, which I'm not super stoked about admitting here.
Right. No, it's okay. In that FanDuel tournament, you never know. Sessions might be that guy.
Yeah. He's real cheap, so it's always good to get the roster flexibility from a guy like that. Okay, moving on. We got Philly at the Knicks, and the line is 191.5. Ooh, low one. The Knicks are 8.5-point favorites, and Philadelphia is coming on off of a back-to-back, and New York is going to be rested, so that probably factors a lot into the line. But yeah, so Philly's side, Covington, real pricey now, 7-2.
Yeah, 6,400 on FanDuel. This just isn't really a good spot for Philly. Knicks have the third slowest pace in the league. Neither team is great offensively, hence the low total. Knicks are really good with their perimeter defense against the three. Sixers are on back-to-back. It's a tough spot. But the Sixers have been playing a little bit better. You know, they've been close to their first W, and it would be like a Knicks thing to lose this game. So Covington on FanDuel, I think, is still definitely reasonable for cash.
In the 6 range, yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So he's implied, I think that's 32 on DK and 25 on FanDuel at 64. So he's averaged 41 in his last 5. So, I mean, he's still great value at both those prices, but obviously he's a far better bargain on
FanDuel,
where you also have to play 2 small forwards.
Right, yeah. He's definitely cash on FanDuel for sure. But tournament only for me just because of the high price. They bumped him up a ton. He was at 6K.
Yeah, which I'm glad they did. I mean, he would have been really, really highly owned. So Knicks aren't like completely careless with the ball, so I don't expect Covington to really get 8 steals again. But
yeah, agreed. So the rest of the Philly guys, I think I'm off Okafor. Nerlens is back tonight.
I saw that. What about Cannon? I think at 4,400 on FanDuel, he's not terrible. 5,400 on DK, so I think it's a little harder, but he is taking 10 threes a game over his last 5. So Knicks aren't obviously good against point guards defensively either.
Yeah, Calderon's awful. Yeah. I like Cannon. I think he's definitely –
I think he's a cash option, much more so on FanDuel at 4,400.
Agreed. Yeah. And that's about it. He's the only option on DraftKings.
Right, yeah. Covington's still kind of there. It does seem very high, but he is paying it off. But, yeah, I think you should explore other options there on DraftKings at small forward.
Agreed. And again, off Okafor with Nerlens back.
Right. He's just been a little too inconsistent, really, for cash. He's a very soft price, especially at FanDuel, just 6,400. So he's still a fine play, and I think one that deserves tournament, a lot of tournament exposure maybe. But the Knicks have been really, really good defending the post, allowing just 0.72 points per possession in the post. So obviously Okafor leads the NBA in points in the post, so it's a far from ideal matchup for him.
Yeah, agreed. And the Nerlens, I guess we can talk quickly about him. Definitely no cash. Don't play him in cash.
Not for a long time. Yeah. He's still struggling. Yeah. You just can't consider him too strongly until he finds his role either with Okafor or off the bench. That might be a while.
Yeah, I have no – I will say that – I think Justin and I said at one point that Moutier was going to win someone a tournament at some point, and he went off like a couple of games. I do think Nerlens is going to win someone a tournament at some point. I just have no clue when it's going to be.
I can definitely see that. He's got upside for sure.
Yeah, he'll have a triple-double with blocks or something at some point.
Yeah.
And like 7 steals as well, and put up like 60 fantasy points. The problem is you'll roster him every day until then and waste money. But he'll win you one eventually, I predict. But it'll hurt until then. So New York side, so Melo is out, but it looks like he's back at practice, so we would expect him to play.
I would expect him to be back, but yeah, we'll keep you posted on that. Obviously, that's pretty big part of the Knicks. So they've lost 4 straight. So I mean, it's a good spot for them to actually get Philly. They kind of need this. So Flalo stepped up huge last game in Melo's absence. They kind of needed a guy to take a lot of shots. So he responded with 31 points. It was against the Rockets' horrendous defense. So, but yeah, cash wise, assuming Melo is 100% and has no ill effects, I wouldn't necessarily mind him too much in cash.
I like him better on DraftKings.
Right, and they've got some length, Grant and Sampson, to kind of disrupt him. But Melo's pretty much unguardable. So
Yeah.
he's got an implied total of 37 at that price, 8,300. So we saw him have pretty huge double doubles against Orlando and New Orleans. So I could see a similar game here against Philly with a lot of rebounding opportunities.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, so his fantasy average on DraftKings is at 37. So
Right. Yeah, he's like right there. So he's
yeah,
not a terrible cash game play. I prefer him in tournaments, but I
yeah,
do think he'll pay off his price.
agreed. And I do prefer him on DraftKings where he's 83 as opposed to FanDuel where he's 87. Um,
Right.
so Porzingis.
Yeah, he's a cash option for sure in this game. His price is getting a little higher, bumped up 7,900 on DK.
But only 72 on FanDuel.
Right. So FanDuel for sure, I think his implied total is only 28, and he's averaging like 40 in his last 5. So that's really, really good value there. Obviously, a good matchup. Should collect plenty of blocks.
Yeah. I think he is. I guess he's probably cash. I'm fine with him in cash in either one, but he's a little more solid on FanDuel for me.
Yeah, absolutely for FanDuel. He's implied at 35 on DraftKings, so he's still breaking that. But yeah, would much rather have him on FanDuel.
Agreed. And that's really it for me. I will say that for some reason, we fully expect Melo to play, but if for some reason he doesn't, then Aflalo is definitely cash tournament.
Right. Yeah. Last game, it did go into overtime. He played 41 minutes, which I think is even better sign than his 31 points, honestly. So, yeah, he would have to step up if Melo were to sit. And even then, he can be considered a tournament play with Melo against this team, but I wouldn't have too many shares.
Yeah, definitely fair.
And that's it for the Knicks. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So next game we got is Phoenix at Detroit. Over under is 202 right now, and Detroit is a 4-point favorite currently. So Phoenix is coming off a back-to-back at Detroit. But let's start with Phoenix side. So what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, we'll see if Tyson Chandler remains out and Alex Len draws the start. We could see a bit more John Lure and TJ Warren, Teletovic. So Phoenix's bench has kind of been taking minutes away from these starters. So the starters aren't like in a super good spot right now. Other than the backcourt, obviously, who's locked into big minutes. But I think I prefer Knight if I were to pick one of – I'm always wrong on this, but I like Knight a little bit more. I think he has the best individual matchup. This is a pretty solid total and close spread, so it should be a pretty good game. Pistons do play at a somewhat slow pace, especially compared to the Suns, who I think, they're the number 1 team in pace in the league. So the back-to-back's a little rough. Bledsoe, I think Caldwell Pope's a very underrated defender. I don't think the numbers are really showing it, shooting guards versus Detroit, but I wouldn't really want to target Pope with Bledsoe. I think he's a pretty great defender. And so if I were picking one of the backcourt to kind of get exposure this game, I would lean Knight.
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah, I would too. And I think they're both pretty good tournament plays at their price.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's the same as usual. Markieff, another good tournament spot, I think. Another Morris brother battle, obviously. So and then Bledsoe, tournament. And I kind of like TJ Warren in tournaments. He's depends on minutes, obviously, but he's been producing off the bench and has pretty solid upside.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially if Chandler sits again, this could be kind of a game where they're going to have to be pretty quick.
Yeah, I agree. I do like Warren. This isn't so if Chandler's out again, obviously we sometimes like to just put in the guys who are like getting the start, like just filling in for that guy. But I think this is a spot where I don't necessarily want whoever would start. We would assume it's Alex Len. But even John Lure, if he got minutes, he has a sneaky guy. I don't know. Like really, matchup with Drummond does not interest me at all.
No, not at all. So I don't think you should really target the center position for Phoenix on a back-to-back.
Agreed. But speaking of targeting center positions. Drummond against potentially Lin or John Lure sounds pretty good.
I mean, he's just going to eat a lot in this game. I think he's a clear cash game play.
Yep.
His price, I think, dropped too. So it's like the last time these guys played, Drummond only went 12 points, 17 rebounds, but Tyson Chandler played 35 minutes. So if he's out, I mean, there's just no one there to really even get in the way of Drummond. I think he'll just abuse this front court in this game.
Yeah.
Suns allow opponents to shoot 64% from 0 to 3 feet, so right in the paint, and that's second highest in the NBA. So Drummond shoots more than anyone in the league in the post and the paint, obviously. So, I mean, he's kind of like a staple for cash games, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this center position tomorrow is kind of ugly. I don't really love a ton of these guys.
I think you either pay up or you go dirt cheap. We'll get into that next game, I think. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Drummond's in a fantastic spot, and I think this is a slate where you can kind of afford him at 90. What is he, 9K on DraftKings?
Yeah, where's he at on FanDuel?
I think 9,400.
Which that's fine too.
Right. No, he's good on both sides. He should have the easiest double-double and should just crush this team.
Yeah.
If Chandler's out. And I think Chandler's doubtful as of now. So
yeah. So if that's the case, start your cash lineups with him and then kind of work out from there. So other Detroit guys, are you on Reggie at all?
Yeah, Reggie, his price just kind of feels a little bit low. He's coming off a huge game. He's still taking a ton of shots, has a really, really, really high usage. So yeah, I absolutely like him. I think he'll have no problem racking up assists with this pick and roll with Drummond against the front court. So yeah, I do like Reggie quite a bit in this game.
Yeah, I did too. I'm probably not going to go that way in cash. I just think there's better options around him. But yeah, I do think that he has some upside here for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marcus Morris revenge game.
Yeah, I got Marcus Morris as a tournament option. Obviously, I like his minutes and kind of the flow of this game, the pace. Obviously, uptick for Detroit is nice. Suits Marcus well. I don't really know if this is too much of a revenge game in Detroit as much as in Phoenix, obviously. So, I think a tournament option only, and no wonder small forward's generally pretty bad, so you can kind of get away with him in cash, I guess, but I'd look at other options there probably.
Yeah, me too. And the only other guy that's, I guess, maybe worth mentioning, I'm not going to probably have any exposure to him, but a guy worth like just kind of watching over the next little bit is Stanley Johnson. Exploded last game. I think it was probably a little fluky. He hit 4 3-pointers, and it was against the Rockets. So I'm calling fluke a little bit here, but keep your eye on him.
Yeah, he looked great, and I like him overall, especially long term. So
I do too.
Yeah, he probably warrants a few shares after that last game. His minutes are really spotty, but I could see him kind of creeping up there in minutes the rest of the way if Van Gundy lets him play more.
Agreed. Okay, let's keep moving. Next game is Denver at Chicago. Total is 198.5, and Chicago is pretty sizable favorites here. They're 9.5 point favorites as of right now. So let's start on Denver side.
Yeah, it's
not great here.
Pretty ugly for Denver right now. They've lost 7 in a row. They're averaging 78 points in their last 3. They already are not a good road team, and they're obviously struggling to score. So now they get a matchup with the Bulls in Chicago. So it's kind of worst case scenario, I guess. So cash-wise, you can easily write off everyone. Yeah. And even tourney-wise, it's not good. I guess Gallo would be the only guy just because he's kind of the only guy right now getting consistent enough minutes to do anything. So Jokic is starting, but he's not really playing consistent minutes. You got King Joff back, Joffrey Laverne. Will Barton is still somewhat limited off the bench, and in this matchup is not great.
Jimmy,
Right. So I think it's a pretty easy fade overall on a 9-game slate.
Yeah, and I'm not even agreed. And I'm not even really interested in any of these guys in tournaments. Like you said, like the intriguing guys that are even potentially intriguing because of who they are have just particularly bad matchups against the Bulls. Because Gallo and Barton would draw Jimmy when either of them are in, and that's not good.
Right. It's bad. Bulls have a good defense, and they're playing well.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Foy might – we'll see what the Nuggets do, really, but assuming Foy gets another start, I think Gary Harris is likely to sit with a concussion, so I don't think he's really past protocol. So Foy should pick up the start, but he's not been doing anything at all. So it's kind of just a worthless offense right now.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so Chicago side, Denver's not really good at anything, whether it's offense or defense. So there's any guys interest you here?
Yeah, I like all four of Jimmy Butler, Derrick Rose, Pau Gasol, and Nikola Mirotic. I like all four of them. It's just kind of choosing which ones you go in cash and which ones in tournament. So
yeah,
I wouldn't really load up on them in cash. I could see a blowout. So Butler is obviously the most consistent for minutes. So I think he is in that cash games consideration. He's not cheap, but he should have a really high floor.
Yeah.
So it depends if you want to go that route. I like Rose. Actually might like Rose more as a cash game option. He's been generally playing solid minutes, well over 30. And he's 6,100 on DraftKings. So
yeah, he's real cheap. Yeah.
Pretty tough to pass up, honestly. He's paying off that price, and Aaron Brooks and Kirk Hinrich, I think their status is up in the air still, so that's something to monitor. But I think Rose will get his minutes regardless.
Yeah,
it's implied on DK is 27. So against the Nuggets, I think he'll have no problem hitting that, and then he'll have a little bit more upside, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think Butler, Gasol, and Rose are all cash.
And Pau just had a massive game against the Spurs and double-digit rebounds in 4 straight. Easy matchup for him. Denver has more front court depth, but none of them are really great defensively. So I think at 6,800 on DraftKings, he's not a bad cash game play at all.
Agreed. Yeah, they're top 3 guys. Mirotic, I'm probably not.
He's tournament.
Tournament only.
Way too inconsistent. Obviously, I love him as a tournament play in this game, though. He has some pretty solid upside scoring-wise here. So, but absolutely, tournament only for Mirotic.
Yeah, agreed. And that's kind of it for me for the Bulls.
Yep, me too.
Okay. All right, let's keep on moving. We got the Pelicans at the Rockets in the next game. Over-under is 211, which I believe that is the highest. Tied for the highest with Golden State and Charlotte. 211.5, and this one's a little bit closer, so probably a little juicier for fantasy purposes. The Rockets are 4-point favorites. Yeah,
that's crazy that they're only 4-point favorites with the Pelicans off a back-to-back. The Rockets are just a mess right now. So yeah, this game it's pretty solid to attack.
The
one thing I don't like at all is the Pelican situation with Tyreek back.
Yeah, I am glad that they're on a back-to-back, so I think we can at least get an idea tonight what it might look like for tomorrow.
Yeah, I was trying to keep up with that before we started this. I think Drew is ruled out for tomorrow, and we had a source say that there are no back-to-back limitations for Norris Cole or Tyreek Evans, but I think we can expect them to stay at their 25 minutes limit. So we should see my boy Ish, who I really wanted to kind of throw out there if Tyreek were out on a back-to-back, Cole, Andrew. But unfortunately, it's not looking that way. So,
and he's $7,100.
Yeah, but you know what? Look at his game logs. He's 6,600 handle. He's averaging over 40 his last 5. So
I know he's been ridiculous.
Incredibly consistent too. So yeah, if Tyreek for some reason is ruled out, we'll see how he looks tonight. And Drew's already ruled out. I don't mind firing Ish up in cash in this matchup. Beverly, it's like, okay, he's a great on-ball defender. But, like, Houston is getting torn up just as a team defensively. I mean, we just saw Reggie Jackson go off on them, and that was with Beverly guarding him for 25 minutes or whatever. So I don't think it's like going up against Beverly right now is that scary.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I wouldn't touch Ish if Tyreek is playing.
Yeah, and if Cole and Tyreek both go 25 minutes, and you got Eric Gordon on the bench now, which doesn't help Ish for his usage rate at all because Gordon will be looking to score a lot. He'll have the ball a little bit more in his hands than usual for Ish off the second unit or whatnot. So yeah, Tyreek really kind of screwed this back up.
Yeah, he did. I honestly Davis is pretty safe to me regardless. I think this is a good spot to target him kind of regardless.
I agree. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, when he plays, he's producing huge. He's put up 61.75 against Utah's front court. So for a team like Houston that has the 27th worst defensive efficiency, I think this is a pretty solid spot for Anthony Davis. And if you're not going him in cash, I love him as a tournament play. So I wish his price dropped a little just because he's had these injuries, I guess, lately. So, but he's still not bad price-wise, really, for his upside.
Yeah, I agree. I prefer Drummond in cash to him if I could only get one high-price guy. But obviously, I think he's fine if you want to go that way in cash, and definitely a tournament play. But if Tyreek is playing, I'm not really interested in the rest of the Pelicans.
No, not at all. I mean, yeah, you can't really. And he's on a 25, or assuming he's on a 25-minute limit. We'll see how he looks tonight. I mean, he hasn't played all year, so you can't really expect him to play enough to warrant consideration, really. It's just kind of like dead weight, ruining it for others. I mean, he's no fun, really. So this is a good game to attack, and it's tough with him. But I think if you really want exposure to this, I think you have to look at Anthony Davis more than anyone. Yeah. Eric Gordon off the bench. I mean, his usage might climb since it's not as high with Anthony Davis back now, but you can't really consider him. He's very streaky, very points dependent. Ryan Anderson, pretty much same thing with Anthony Davis back. His upside is so limited. I also saw Azinka is trying to start tonight over Ashik, so which probably about time. Ashik is awful on offense, so we'll see how he does.
He's not even very good on defense right now.
No, he's awful. So it's about time Azinka garners more minutes, but we'll see how he does. I don't think he's really that great of an option, even as a punt play in this game.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty much just Brow for me. All right, so Rockets side, I think Harden is definitely in play in cash or tournaments. He disappointed a little bit last game, but still
he came through at the end.
Yeah,
that fourth quarter was huge.
Not that he disappointed. He played really bad for most of the game and still had a crazy fantasy line.
And that's the thing. Yeah, I don't care how bad he plays. He's producing huge. He's averaging just under 60 DraftKings points his last 5. So, and now he's playing basically the Sixers of last year. I mean, this defense is atrocious, the Pelicans. Dead last in defensive rating, dead last defending the 3. I mean, the only thing that differentiates them with Philly last year is turnovers. So it's a great spot for Houston offensively. I think Harden is absolutely cash game staple pretty much on both sides.
Yeah. I mean, he hit 53 fantasy points and only took 15 shots.
He should have a huge game. And Clint Capela, I think he'll still start. I think he's kind of earned that, and I don't think that's the problem why they're losing is Capela, Dwight.
He's been good.
So I like him to draw another start here, and I think he's another cash game option, averaging 32 over his last 3 games. So really the big thing with him is just if he's starting, because he's producing really well in minutes. So I think he's another cash game option that we can strongly consider in this game.
Yep, I agree. I still love Capella. 5.5 on DraftKings. Where's he at on FanDuel? Do you have that up? This is great potting.
Yeah, he's 4,900 on FanDuel, so definitely much better on
cash. Definitely cash on FanDuel. And kind of a good spot to target him in tournaments if you just want to lock him into the center spot and kind of just rotate some guys around him in that big tournament. You potentially get some upside there and get some unique lineups, I think. Because I think a lot of people will probably go Drummond tomorrow night.
Yeah, I agree. And that brings me to my next point. Dwight, I love for tournaments. He played 30 30 minutes and 31 minutes in this back-to-back set after originally having a 25-minute limit in each. So I think it's safe to assume he's feeling pretty healthy right now. And, this is a good matchup. He's got a day off to rest. I'm definitely not ready to commit to him in cash. He's just not seeing as much usage offensively. But I think his upside is still pretty massive here in this spot. So he's one of my favorite tournament options with the other center options that people will probably gravitate towards.
Yeah, agreed. I think I don't like him in cash on either side. And I don't even love him too much on FanDuel and tournaments. I guess if you're just trying to get some, a low-owned guy or some, unique lineups, it's fine. But he's at 79 on FanDuel as opposed to 71 on DraftKings. So not too great. But
right, I agree. And then, the only other guy really is Ariza. And it's a pretty solid game, I guess. He's coming off a 1-for-9 shooting dud. So I think he'll be pretty low. But same thing always with him. He's always low. But I don't mind him as a tourney play. It's kind of a filler in that small forward option, mid-range price. Kind of he can contribute. So he's okay.
He's always a B play.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. We got the Raptors at the Hawks. Let's see if I can find the line here. Yep. 198 is the line I see right now, and the Hawks are 3-point favorites. So let's start with Toronto's side. We don't have a back-to-back for either of these, so both teams rested. So Toronto side, where are you at?
Biyombo is kind of the guy you have to look at a little bit here. I think he's really cheap. Is it FanDuel? 3,900 on FanDuel. So we kind of just saw his floor last game. I think he got around 18. He's been held scoreless in 2 of his last 3 games, points-wise. And we saw him get 8 rebounds. So 0 points, 8 rebounds. That's a pretty bad floor. He did get 4 blocks. So he's done relatively well. I think like 22, 27, 31 points is 3 before. So he's somewhat producing. I think it's really you can get him at a punt play. Like if you wanted to go Harden and Anthony Davis on FanDuel or something, it's not horrible to use Biyombo as a punt play here at just 3,900. I'm pretty off him on DraftKings. His price is a bit more. He's hitting value. It's like we talked about on the strategy pod, It's like, okay, he's 3,900. He just needs like 14, I think, implied. So like there's a great chance he'll pay that off, but do you really want your center to get like 17 points on a 9-game slate? That's kind of the thing you got to look at. But I think he's in play on FanDuel if you want to attack high-priced guys at other positions.
Yeah, for sure. And I think especially in tournaments, like you're not even looking whether he can pay off his salary. You're looking how much he can exceed it. So even at like if his ceiling is like 19, 20 points, that's not good enough, really. Like you need every guy to be above 30 fantasy points and to get in that, kind of mid to upper 300, fantasy point range to take down a tournament, especially like the big one tomorrow. So, there's a difference between like, can he pay off his salary and is there like true upside there? And I think Beyond was kind of a good example where it's the former,
Right. And 4,900 on DK is a lot more than 3,900 on FanDuel. So I think if you're going to go him, pick him on FanDuel and punt that position and spend up on Harden and Anthony Davis or whoever you want to spend on Curry, other guys. He's not a bad punt play.
Yeah, if you're gonna go up to almost 5K on DraftKings, just go up to Capella.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Which I like a lot more. So other Toronto guys, I don't mind Carroll, just because small forward is kind of ugly tomorrow. It's always kind of ugly. He's kind of around that Mirotic, Middleton range, which I'm not super intrigued with the floor of Mirotic, like we talked about. So, it's not super safe.
Right.
Middleton's probably drawing Kawhi.
Mm-hmm.
So,
small forward is not great. He's playing in Atlanta. This is his revenge game.
True.
There's nothing he's really going to do, honestly. So, but I think he's a fine small forward kind of I call it like a filler position. Someone,
Yeah.
I don't think he's really going to kill you. I don't think he's going to bring you over the top, but that's the way your lineup ends up with him in there as your second small forward, maybe, then, you could be doing worse. He's not a strong cash gameplay, really. And then tourney-wise, I have Lowry and DeRozan.
Yep.
Lowry more so because price is pretty high, and it's not the best matchup, but he has averaged 41 over his last 5. So he's not a horrible cash game play because he has such a high floor, which I really like for cash games.
Yeah, I agree with that. They're both tournament plays for me. Yeah, I don't have anyone really in cash here. I guess maybe if you want to go Biyombo in cash on FanDuel, I'm fine with that. Not on DraftKings.
Right.
And if you want to go Carroll, I'm actually fine with that just because of like how lineups end up, especially on FanDuel where you have to get 2 small forwards. Like I just kind of went through and made some lineups, and like if you end up in that, like I don't know, like I guess Covington's is 6'4", so it's hard, but
yeah, I'd rather go Covington at 6'4" than Carroll at 6.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, not the best option, not the worst option.
Right.
And that's really it for me on Toronto's side.
Right, I agree.
So Atlanta side, yeah. So I said last pod that I wasn't like super interested in the Hawks against the Thunder, and Millsap exploded, and apparently you guys like when I'm wrong because you let me know about it. So
I loved Millsap. I wasn't on that pod, but I played Millsap in cash. I loved that matchup for him.
Yeah.
And his floor, I mean, like I just said with Lowry's floor in cash, he might not be the best value. Same with Millsap, but I mean, this dude's producing huge. Rolling him is really safe. His price did climb, so which as it should finally, but he has a very safe floor, and he's going to get a lot of looks in this game. I'd love to see him kind of post up more, shoot more in the post. He's been incredibly efficient in the post this year, so hopefully he gets more looks there instead of more so the pick and roll, I guess. But I don't know if I'll spend up in cash on this slate, but he's definitely still a great play.
Yeah, so he's at 81 on DraftKings and 86 on FanDuel. So I think definitely in play in both sites.
Yeah, and he was 7,700 on DK the other night, so I think that was pretty too low for Millsap.
Yeah, I think at the time I was a little worried because he was coming off that Spurs game where they got destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
He only played 25 minutes and looked really bad. So, but it's
as most people do against the Spurs.
Yeah, it's probably not fair to judge guys against that. So I guess I got caught up in that. But yeah, so I think it's always good to kind of reevaluate why you thought something and be willing to admit when you were wrong. And I admit I was wrong on Millsap, and I like him in this spot. So the other guys that are I guess interesting here are so Horford is in an interesting spot where he's center, but he's kind of in a weird pricing point where it's hard for me to end up with him. I do like Teague as a tournament play though.
Yeah, I have both those guys as tournament plays. I love both their prices a lot. I'm not too much in love with their matchups. Biyombo is a much better defender than Valanciunas down low, so it's a tougher matchup for Horford there. But yeah, his price is soft, and his rebounding has been very inconsistent, which hurts him a little, and I think Biyombo will kind of clean the glass in this matchup. Teague has a really cheap price. Definitely interesting for cash, but more so tournament. Only thing that worries me with him are kind of his minutes have been sporadic lately, and that's with Schroeder playing really poorly. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on in the future. If Schroeder, he could get more minutes if he starts picking up, or he could stay in longer in the second quarter, stuff like that. I think Teague isn't really playing like a full amount of minutes to push him into cash game, even at this cheap price. But at the same time, I do think he will hit value in this game. And I think he's a really solid tournament option. Yeah,
I completely agree with both of those guys. And then the only other guy that I guess we can talk about real quick before we move on is probably the weirdest line that I saw of the year. Thabo Sefolosha.
I was hoping you weren't going to mention him.
Oh, you wanted to mention him.
No, I didn't. I just wanted to go to the next game and just not bring him up at all.
But no, listen to this line. Last game he played 39 minutes. A lot of minutes, right? 39 minutes.
Right.
He had 0 real points, which is incredible to have 0 points in 39 minutes. But he still ended up with 26.5 DraftKings points.
Yeah, and what I will say to that is just don't chase these points. These points that Tabo's racking up. I mean, he scored 0 like 2 games ago too. So that's 2 scoreless games he's had. So it's like, I mean, he played huge minutes last game. I think more for kind of defensive pressure purposes than obviously his offense. So I just don't think you can really consider Tabo. I know he's put up some points lately, but like long term, just don't chase those points that he's racked up.
Yeah, agreed. I'm not interested. I just wanted to mention.
Yeah, it is
that
line. Funny line. Yeah,
it's hard to do, honestly. Just play 39 minutes and not score a point.
I'm pretty sure I could score a few in 39 minutes.
Well, you would think you would just get like a layup or like a tip in or like something would happen. You could get 2 points in 40 minutes.
Right. I mean,
or like get fouled or pump fake or something to go to the line. I mean.
Oh, we didn't bring up McConnell actually did get fouled and went to the line. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he missed too. So
good. All right.
So he's still 0 free throws.
Yeah, but he actually went to the line. Maybe it was just because he didn't know what to do.
I wonder. I didn't even see it. I need to go back and watch. But I wonder if he like declined the shot. He's just like, nah, I don't do that. You guys know this. Just no, and like rolled the ball to the official or something.
That's not. Can you decline a free throw? Like, what happens if you just won't do it?
I mean, we saw like Ben Wallace basically decline free throws, so I think that's as close as you can get. He's essentially just lobbing it to the official.
Yeah. DeAndre Jordan did that almost last night. What do you have, like 35 free throws and hit like 9 of them last night?
32 or 34, I think. Yeah, I was watching that game just shaking my head at Terry Stotts and Doc Rivers. Like Doc Rivers pompous, keeping him in the whole time. It's like just sit him until 2 minutes left, and then they can't do that. That game was really frustrating to watch. I probably should have watched anything else,
and they're both so stubborn coaches. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they are. It's like,
because Stas is like, I'm not going to stop fouling until you take him out, and Doc's like, I'm not going to take him out until you stop fouling. And it's just like 2 kindergartners like getting in a fight.
It was, it's really embarrassing, honestly, to watch.
Good stuff, the Blazers and the Clippers. Okay, let's keep on moving. We got 2 more games left. We got the Bucks at the Kings. No, the
Spurs.
Spurs. I'm sorry. Yeah. Low over under here. It's 190.5. This would be a different game if it was the Bucks at the Kings. And the Spurs are our biggest favorites. Biggest favorites of the night at 12.5. So not a super interesting game as far as maybe Milwaukee side, which we'll start with on the cash side. But go ahead and give me your thoughts on the Bucks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point. It's like I don't know what to do with the Bucks. They're in a blowout every game. I talk about it every podcast, and then obviously their last game, another huge blowout versus the Nuggets. So it's kind of like ridiculous at this point that you can't really count on these minutes for these guys. And it got really clogged up in the backcourt with, obviously everybody was on Bayless last game. He was a huge dud. We saw Michael Carter-Williams finally come to life after I kind of pimped him out on 2 pods when he got like 3 points probably combined. But he put up a decent line, and now it just, complicates this backcourt a little bit more. Bayless probably draws the start again, but you can't really go him because you just saw his downside.
And the matchup. Yeah.
Right. This I wasn't even mentioning, you have the most difficult matchup that you can have. So Spurs have the best defensive rating in the league by a decent amount, and they play it at a slow pace. Milwaukee plays at a slow pace. I'm actually surprised the total is 190 even.
Yeah, well, it's just mostly on the Spurs side, honestly.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess you're saying the Bucks, you're surprised they're even that high.
Yeah, I am. And Vasquez is a guy to look at. I think he's doubtful, maybe questionable, but leaning doubtful. He's missed the last 2 games. So that opens up more playing time for Bayless and Mayo. We saw Mayo's kind of floor. That wasn't even his floor. His floor is worse than that, way worse. So
Yeah.
a lot of people were on him in cash the other night. So hopefully tomorrow people will be off him way more so with this matchup. So
Yeah.
I'm not on anyone in cash for sure, which I rarely am against the Spurs as is, but this team just is not great right now for cash. Giannis is kind of the only guy I think who will get consistent minutes and can kind of rack up a decent enough line to consider him in tournaments. Possibly Monroe in tournaments if you want to get really sneaky, but like not many shares at all. And those are really the only two guys I could see putting up respectable lines.
Yeah. I'm not sure you could do much with his backcourt for all those reasons listed above. I mean, you got the bad matchup, you got the low implied point total, and we're just not really sure what the rotation is going to look like on top of that.
Right.
So it's just three kind of negative factors that just, like, I mean, I guess if you want to throw some bullets, like, do your thing, but definitely not cash. And like I guess in this like $25 tournament, if that's a lot of money to you, I wouldn't load up on Milwaukee guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess around with them.
Yeah, but Spurs side gets more interesting.
Yeah, a little bit. There are a few things going against the Milwaukee plays at the slowest pace in the league. They do have a horrible defense, so scoring is pretty easy on them. But the big thing is this is the first leg of a back-to-back for the Spurs. And they kind of just got off a stretch where they played quite a few games. Obviously, we saw Aldridge in a really good spot only play 18 minutes a few games ago. So I would be weary of something like that happening again. It's kind of they're big favorites, and they have a game tomorrow. Thursday. So, it's not great. It makes me like – I mean, Kawhi I think is still cash game.
I think he's safe, yeah.
I mean, the guy is just incredible. I've never seen a player – you're like, oh, Kawhi's having – I mean, I faded him the other night. I don't think too many people were on, but it was like, oh, sweet, Kawhi's having a pretty bad game. And then the third quarter, he just goes off in these third quarters, just racks up. He scores like 10 of the 10 Spurs points in a row and gets blocks, assists, rebounds, steals. I mean – he's so safe for cash, and his price crept up. He's $9,100 on FanDuel, $8,700 on DraftKings. So it's not like it's a really great price, but you're paying for a pretty safe floor. And he's got safe minutes even in these back-to-backs.
Yeah, I agree. I'm fine with him in cash for sure on either side, I think. And like he's at a good – like he's at 87 on DraftKings, and Paul George is at 10-2.
Right. And, small forward's not great. So, I mean, you can get away with Kawhi in this game, and the spread's high, but he'll still end with his worst-case scenario, I feel like, in this game is 35.
Agreed. So I think he's actually probably my favorite cash option at small forward because, I mean, just kind of where their price point is. Like, Paul George is really expensive. And then, like, Carmelo Anthony is right around his price point, but you like Kawhi at 8.7 over Carmelo at 8.3, right?
I do, and especially and Melo, he might not be 100%.
Yeah.
So I'd lean Kawhi. He's just so safe. FanDuel, it's a little different. Paul George is 900 more, and I like his matchup and kind of game flow a bit better than Kawhi. So maybe FanDuel, you could go like Paul George, Covington, because he's 6,400 there. Yeah, Covington's cheap. Possibly, if you can't afford that extra 900, dropping down to Kawhi is still fine.
Yeah.
And the rest of the Spurs, for this first leg of back-to-back, I love Duncan in tournaments pretty much always. It's just really lack of minutes, and they're not guaranteed in any way tomorrow. So. But he can easily double-double and be a good source of assists and blocks, obviously, in this game. So I think he deserves some tourney attention.
Yeah.
Aldridge, too, he's played pretty well, especially lately, kind of. But, minutes, big thing. So wouldn't go crazy with him. And Tony Parker has paid off his price in, like, 10 straight games. So I don't think I've played him once in the last 10 games. And he remains cheap. and he just
Yeah.
keeps paying off his price, like every game, consistent.
Yeah.
So I don't think he'll have any problems really with Bayless defending him at the point. But I do think his minutes will be on the low side in this game, mid-20s.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the minute thing is what worries me because it's a large spread and the
And then
front end of a back-to-back. Yeah.
Right. And then his upside isn't anything really crazy to where you're jumping on him in tournaments anyways.
Yeah, he's a Biombo guy where like you
either go him in cash or you kind of
you
just
don't play him.
fade him. That's one of the guys you're fading. So
Right, yeah.
Which I'm fine doing.
And he's not a guy that's going to like haunt you. It's not like you're going to like see tournaments and be like, oh gosh, why didn't I go Tony Parker?
Right. Not in the first leg of back-to-back.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, so Kawhi, cash tournaments, and everyone else is tournament. Cool. Last game. Indy at the Clippers. I don't have a line here.
I'm assuming that's due to Chris Paul being questionable.
Yeah, I'm just.
And that's obviously the huge thing to monitor in this whole game. Really, he affects the game because we already got. I think Paul George is still a strong cash game option on both sides with small forward state right now. So it should be a pretty fast-paced game. The Pacers finally got up to the top third in the league in pace. I know that's kind of what they've wanted to do all season is pump up the pace a little bit without Hibbert and move the ball with these athletic guys, Hill and Miles on the wing and George, obviously. So I do like Paul George quite a bit. I don't think Wesley Johnson will really be able to slow him down at all.
No. Yeah.
Assuming he's on him.
Yeah. I love Paul George. He's a little too pricey on DraftKings for me for cash. But on FanDuel where he said it was cheaper is more palatable, I think.
Right.
Yeah. But I think he's an elite tournament play in either place.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. He's got huge upside. So any other indie guys?
Yeah, I think George Hill, depending on Chris Paul's status, I think you can get away with Hill in cash maybe if Paul is out. He's 6,100 on DraftKings, and I think he'll be able to pay off that price in this game pretty easily there. So against Chris Paul, I wouldn't go him in cash. I'd still consider him in tournaments. And the other guys are all tournament guys too in this game. CJ Miles, depending on his 3-point scoring, which I think has a good chance in this game. Jan Mahimi, I think, is another option. He'll have to kind of play a lot to match up. So I think he could produce a decent line, but at the same time, I'm not rolling him out in cash. I'll have tournament exposure, though. And then Jordan Hill's a guy I always like to have tournament exposure with because his points per minute are always really high. And I think he'll see some time in this game, matchup-wise, and producing. So I like him with sneaky upside to possibly double-double in this game.
Yeah, I agree completely. CJ Miles, did you mention him?
Yeah.
Tournament. Gotcha. Yeah. I agree all around. PG is the only cash guy. I guess.
Maybe Hill.
Yeah, and I'm not even super on Hill in really either spot. 6'1".
Right, I can see that. Yeah,
there's just not a whole lot of upside. I mean, last year when Paul George was out, he had a lot of upside, but Paul George is kind of being a little more point forward than he usually.
Oh yeah.
So
I agree.
He doesn't have the assist upside like triple double potential like he did last year. So it's Paul George, cash, and the rest of the guys are okay tournament options, I think.
Agree.
Clipper side. So if Chris Paul is out, then Blake.
Blake's the main guy I like a lot if Chris Paul's out.
And cheap too.
Right. Pacers do have a really underrated defense, so I think a lot of people kind of forget that they're still a good defensive team. So I'm not like too high on anyone on the Pacers. If Chris Paul plays, it's kind of tough to really go anyone in cash. If he's out, you can bump Blake up, bump Crawford up a little bit, but I don't think he'll really bump into that cash game consideration. Their point guard will kind of be a mess without Chris Paul in this game. And you still got Redick is there, so.
Yeah, like we're always wondering when a guy's out, especially a high-price guy or like a high-usage, whatever you want to call him, guy like Chris Paul, we're always wondering where it's going to go. So a lot of people will jump on the Austin Rivers or the Jamal Crawford train, and I think most of the usage would go to Blake in that regard. So I think Blake becomes the play, and don't get really too cute with Crawford or Rivers. You can have some tournament exposure.
Yeah, I wouldn't do any exposure to Rivers, but yeah, Crawford deserves some tournament exposure, I think, if Chris Paul's out.
Yeah.
What about DeAndre at all?
Yeah, so he's a guy where I almost think his upside is I don't know, it's less with CP3 out.
I mean, we just saw his upside with the hack of Jordan that Stotts employed. Yeah, DeAndre got 57, but yeah, that's not going to happen again. So
yeah,
definitely not. So yeah, I guess, yeah, I agree. His upside is kind of limited with Chris Paul out for sure.
Yeah, because he's really reliant on Chris Paul to get him the ball and get spots. And
and most of his upside comes from the double-double. Obviously, with the points and the bonus is a pretty huge part of his upside. So without Chris Paul, I don't really see him double-doubling.
Yeah, agreed. So Blake and Jamal kind of for me here.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep, agreed. And yeah, Pacers have a pretty good defense overall, so it's not like Chris Paul's out. There's a ton of value really just because of that. So
cool. I guess
that's it for that game and this slate, beautiful Scott Skiles-less slate. Probably my favorite one yet.
A Scott Skiles-less slate is a beautiful slate all the time.
Yeah, it is. And we got that awesome tournament on FanDuel tomorrow. It's I'm really pumped for that. It should be great.
Yeah, it's a huge tournament, $25 entry, and $100K to first place is pretty awesome. So, let us know what you think. If you have any questions, good luck in the tournament. I hope you guys get second place or maybe third place to me and Jay.
Yeah, I think I might roll a train. 20 teams, same lineup, Austin Rivers. So, I mean, I think 21st place isn't like terrible payout off 25. So there's still there's plus EV still there.
Yeah. Like you should not enter it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree. Okay. I'm going to hop off so I can go watch the game.
Yeah. Have fun at the game.
Thanks,
8-point favorites. Good luck.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. And and I'll mention we're giving you a 4-potter this week.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So we're actually going to give you a pod on Friday night because of the Saturday 10-game slate, just because it's so big, which Jay is going to do, and he's going to do it by himself because he's a champ. And I'm going to do the Thursday pod for the Friday slate by myself. So you're going to get 4 pods. So
yep, should be pretty solid. Lots of info.
Yeah, so we're hitting you with a lot of stuff. So enjoy. Good luck tomorrow, and we'll talk to you guys later this week.
Peace out, guys.